But in my opinion, I'll tell you right now, I fought the best. I trained with the best. I know great martial artists, and there's never been anybody, in my opinion, like Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee was unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable, guys. You don't know how great this guy was. People don't really know. I'm not just talking about actor or
right.
I'm talking about martial artist.
Right.
Guy who knew his stuff. This guy was. I don't. There's stories I know about Bruce Lee that I don't even share because I have respect for the people, other people in the martial arts, and it's not necessary for me to name names. I know who Bruce Lee sparred with.
Yeah.
I know. They won't tell you, but I know people he sparred with. I never mention their names either. But Bruce Lee was untouchable.
Yeah. Well, yeah, go ahead.
But you know, he was the speed, the timing, the technique, unbelievable. Yep. Bruce was the type of guy that he would spar with you. He could spar with a guy. I'm not saying whoever, John Doe. John Doe the great, great champion. Okay, John Doe.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't matter what size. You can be a lightweight, middleweight, heavyweight. Didn't matter, Bruce. Bruce was lightweight. He could spar with anybody, any size. Didn't matter what size you were. And he would spar with you, and hands and feet. And then he'd say, okay, let's just go hands. Just hands. That was incredible.
That's Kung Fu.
I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah, that's Kung Fu.
Like some people say to me, well, Bruce Lee didn't fight in tournaments because he couldn't use his technique. No, that's not true. Bruce Lee would have made the adjustment to fight in point karate championships. If he wanted to, he could have made the adjustment. You know, a couple of people were his students who were point karate champions. They studied with Bruce Lee. But when they came to point karate tournaments, they made the adjustment. You know, in my personal opinion, Bruce Lee was a step above everybody. I mean, everybody. During that era, even today, I mean, it holds up today, but during that era of the 60s and 70s, Bruce was just great. And in my opinion, he was just a step above. No matter how great everybody else was, Bruce was, boom, just a little step above. He was just absolutely unbelievable. I'm talking about sparring. I'm not talking about just working techniques. I'm talking about when it came to sparring, Bruce was unbelievable. Unbelievable. People don't know. They don't know. He's like the Michael Jordan, beyond Michael Jordan.
Well, when I think of Bruce and use the term fighter versus a tournament player, you have to look at why, and it's mainly because my experience with Bruce was as a fighter, as a street fighter. I was never a tournament player. All I knew was a fight. Now, I didn't fight relative to size and weight and division. It was a fight against person. Now, if the person was 135 or 335, it didn't matter. It was a fight between two people, and whoever was standing would win. Well, Bruce, 135 against Jim DeMille, 225, Ed Hart, 240, 250, professional boxer, kill you with either hand, Jesse Glover, super athlete, judo, karate, all of us street fighters, never been in tournaments since. Jesse, of course, went into judo tournaments, but tournaments as we know them today. Bruce could beat us all. And I don't mean it would be a struggle. I mean, he could beat us all and we didn't have a chance. This was in an actual fight situation where I tried to hit him. I tried to knock him out. We tried to hurt this kid because he was always embarrassing us in demonstrations and just in general. Tournaments are a game. I don't care how good you are. There are rules. There are certain restrictions that are automatically going to eliminate the potential to really get hurt simply because it's a sport. To me, tournaments do not reflect at all what a fighter is like or a fight itself, because most of the tournament fighters I've ever met have never been in a real fight. It's always been tournament. So when somebody tells me, oh, Bruce Lee never proved himself because he never went into tournaments, I'm the first one to say, I would like to spar with you, because you should be able to wipe me out really easy. Because if you're that good or you put that much on tournaments, I've never been in a tournament. So therefore, I mustn't know diddly giddly. But my point to them is, I'm a street fighter. You want to fight me? Let's throw away the rules. This kid could embarrass me. So put your value on his ability through that rather than how many trophies he had or what tournaments he went in. Give me a break. You know, when I say Bruce was a fighter, I'm not saying that he was a good tournament fighter. I'm saying I'll put him against anybody, any weight division, any size, any background, and I'll put my money on him as a fighter. Because I've never run across anybody in my life traveling around, and I've had some guys come in and challenge me when I'm doing seminars, and I just drove them into the ground because I'm Neanderthal. Whereas Bruce didn't care whether I was tough and had this reputation. He had the beauty of the art of fighting, whereas I was the water buffalo mentality of attack and destroy. So Bruce introduced the art of fighting. And it isn't the art of tournament, art of games, or art of sport, art of fighting. Because he wasn't interested in impressing people other than he was standing and they were down. So all of his technique was geared for winning a fight, not points in a tournament. So I just am amused when I hear that. And I'm first one, like I say, to leap up and say, who said that? I'll spar with you. Because I should be nothing. Because I'll never get a chance to meet Bruce, but at least someone who touched hands with Bruce. So I should be nothing if they value that.
For a guy who only weighed 138 pounds, and he weighed less than that when he passed away, he hit extremely hard. He could hit as hard as a heavyweight. He had real fast twitch muscle fibers, something he's born with. He trained hard. He worked on a lot of his stabilizers and muscles, and especially his speed. I always thought he was like the fastest guy who ever stood in front of me. He had incredible, what I call kind of a Zen level of consciousness. In psychology, we call it the implicit level of consciousness. You didn't know when he was going to squeeze that trigger. And he always knew when you weren't ready. He had blinding speed, especially with his hands. And I know that's because he stood in front of me and he popped me a few times. So I've always told people, I know how hard Bruce Lee could hit. I know how fast he was because he nailed me. And I've always told people, I know what real Jeet Kune Do was because I got popped with it a few times.